This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
All right, Nick King, Julia Lopez in the AZ Family Podcast studio on a Monday on MLK Day, and joined by the legendary, the Basketball Hall of Famer, Ann Meyers Drysdale on Zoom. Ann, appreciate you making the time. We're all watching the Suns, of course, on a two-game winning streak here. What have you seen that you liked these last two games?
Well, it certainly has helped to have Bradley Beal back, and it just opens things up. And Book's not on the ball all the time. It gives him an opportunity to get shots from somebody else. And, you can't double Book, you can't double KD. Beal is out there. I think Grayson Allen's been terrific, as Eric Gordon has. But, we've had so many injuries throughout the season. And I think Frank Vogel has really had a tough time figuring out rotations, who's going to play, how many minutes, and so forth. And, we missed Nurk for a couple of games. And he's just so steady. He's going to get his numbers. He's physical. He's an anchor in the middle. And, and the bench is starting to be stronger, and Frank's figuring out who is going to get more minutes. And a lot of it has to do with matchups, too. Somebody will say, well, Drew didn't play. Well, maybe it's because of the matchup and he's trying to get minutes to somebody else and so forth. So if, everybody in the NBA says the same thing, we got to stay healthy. We've got to stay healthy. And you stay healthy, you can get good rotations, and your starters are going to get some kind of chemistry together and figure out who's cutting where and what plays they're running and so forth, where they have to be. But, once our threes get going, it just opens up the middle for us. And a lot of that has to do with our defense. And there's no question, once we play really good defense, and we know in the games that we've lost, our defense has been pretty poor and rebounding. And I think if we make a conscious effort to rebound and play solid defense, our points will come.
I think sometimes it's from the outside. It's like, hey, you got these three legendary players, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, like multiple-time All-Stars, going to be at least probably all going to be Hall of Famers. If they're out there, this team should be winning. But it's only been 7 games that the three of them have played start to finish together. Do we undervalue kind of what you're talking about, the ability to build chemistry or the need to build chemistry in order to be great as a team?
As long as I've been around the NBA, my brother David played back in the 70s and 80s, and I followed the game and obviously been a part of it. Every team at All-Star break will tell you, players and coaches alike, we're still working on our chemistry. And that's, how many more months then do we have after that? So Book missed 9 games. KD's missed some games. Obviously Beal's missed games. Then you're on minute restrictions. Then you're trying to, make sure that your injuries are getting enough, recovery and so forth. And it takes time. And as a matter of fact, one of the preseason games, and I cannot recall who it was against, it might have been Portland at home. And Bradley was not playing. Brad Beal was not playing. I don't know if Book was playing. I think Book was. But and so you had Book and KD, and it's like Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon. There is like, when we move the ball, we run, and we're fast paced. We have talented players on this team. No question, we can go deep into the playoffs. And but again, it's the injuries. And Little's been out, Gordon's been out, Okogie's been out, and Bobo's been out. He had a chance to start playing, getting minutes, and then he went out. So it's a juggling act, I think, for every NBA coach. And Frank being a new coach and a new system, and we've got 13 new players on this team. So it's, everybody's got to figure out what they're doing and when they're doing it. There's no question they're working hard in practice and getting shots up and getting their legs in shape. And but it does take time.
And you mentioned him, Grayson Allen. I feel like he has kind of surprised a little bit of everybody, especially the fan base here in Phoenix. Does it surprise you with how good he does when the ball's in his hand?
Not whatsoever. I mean, he's strong. He understands the game. He's smart. He's a team player. His defense is really, really good. And, he jumps, he can rebound. reads the defense and is, as far as passing is concerned. We know his three-point shot is good. It's the same thing with Eric Gordon. We know that the two of them can shoot the three lights out, but they both can get to the basket. And the big thing is trying to get a call to get to the free throw line. But, Grayson Allen, he was a talented player at Duke, came into the league with Memphis and Milwaukee. We knew that he could play at Milwaukee. I mean, people that follow the NBA know that Grayson Allen can play, and he fits perfectly in with the Suns.
I know a lot of people were like, oh, man, it's Grayson Allen, the Duke, the dirty player. And then I think he's just completely turned that narrative around, and he is now becoming a fan favorite, and he's so exciting to watch.
Well, the thing is, too, Julie, a lot of people don't understand. When you come into the league, how much experience do you have? Who are you playing with? What kind of teams? Who are the coaches and so forth? And sometimes it takes 3 to 6 to 7 years, and you become a veteran player. Your personal life changes, not just professionally. And, we see players that they're talented, but sometimes it's like, well, why aren't they playing? And everybody in the NBA, every team, and Tom Chambers has talked about it, and Eddie Johnson has, everybody's talented. And we saw Detroit won today for the first time over Washington. And who did Washington beat the other night? They beat the Lakers, I think, was it pretty good? Or the Clippers? They beat somebody pretty good. And then Detroit got their first win. What'd they have, 31 losses?
They had one in there, but it hasn't been few and far between.
They've got the record. But you just don't know. I mean, everybody's talented. We've lost to Portland. We've beaten Portland. Yeah. And, there's teams, their records may not show really how talented they are. And sometimes you have off nights. What was the off night we had the other day where Frank just, unloaded the bench and got the starters off? And was that the Clippers, I think? And the games are running into each other because I've been watching so many games, and I was like, oh, which game was that? And but you're going to have off nights where the ball doesn't fall, and you've got to find ways to win.
You were talking about how much NBA basketball you watch. Does it feel, the Thunder have been a bit of a surprise. Have been really great. The T-Wolves have been great. Still got the Nuggets. The Clippers have been really impressive lately, especially these last two times they played the Suns. Does it feel like the West is open enough if and when the Suns figure it out?
Well, I think Denver's still got to be looked at as the number one out of the West. And then nobody talks about Sacramento. And the Kings are very, very good. Is it open? Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a chance. And who's playing well? The Clippers. And I'm not surprised with OKC. Maybe Minnesota a little bit, but Minnesota seems like they've got all the pieces that are fitting together. And it's that chemistry. It's guys that having fun playing out there. And I think that's the biggest thing. We lose sight. It is a game. And if they're, and everybody wants to win. Nobody likes to lose. And but you like to watch, especially the Suns. You love when they're out there smiling at each other and making good plays. And when you do that, things start clicking. Oklahoma City with Gilchrist. He's just having, he's been up for MVP talk last year as he is this year. And, on any given night in a series, teams are going to be tough.
Talking about having fun out there, have either of you guys noticed, I feel like Bradley Beal, as he's starting to come on, especially these last two games offensively, the other element that he's brought is a bit of levity. Like, he has fun out there, and not that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker don't sometimes, but they're pretty serious dudes, and it feels like Beal is bringing some smiles to the court.
Well, his smiles are from he's healthy.
Yeah,
semi-healthy. Not. I will tell you, most every guy in the NBA or the WNBA, most everybody plays with some kind of injury or some kind of hurt, and the fact that Kevin and Devin have taken on so much without Bradley Beal, it's tough sometimes. And they want to perform to the best of their ability, and it's not always working because they're getting doubled and triple teamed. But, Bradley, he hopefully is, I don't think he's 100%. The fact that he even talked about, I've got to get my wind. I've got to get my legs. And people don't understand. You can practice all you want and do the drills and stuff, but when you're in a game situation, things change because of the arena, the crowd, the music. the intensity of your opponent and so forth. And sometimes your legs aren't always there. And Beal's had to get himself in shape, played himself in shape. And as you said, only 7 games together. So to me, he's still working to get better and knowing his spots, where his shots are coming from and so forth. But boy, he's been on a roll with that 3-point shot. But he understands you get shots, you're going to be happy. We've seen that with Booker. We've seen that with KD. And I think KD has struggled with some of his shots not going. Every time Kevin Durant takes a shot, I think it's automatic. I mean, I just, how does this guy miss? He is so good. And same thing with Devin. And you feel that way with Bradley, too. You're right. He does bring happiness out there, and it really reflects with the other players.
I really like the flex that he did in that Miami game, too, underneath the basket. That was amazing to watch. Right. But, yeah, so the All-Star break is coming up. But what about the disrespect for Devin Booker? Not even cracking the top 10 in the first voting, but now he is 9th right now. I think he's going to climb up that list on Thursday. But what do you think about, obviously a shoo-in, right, for Devin Booker making the All-Star team in the West?
Yeah, small market. We're our fans. Yeah. I remember when Yao Ming played in Houston, all those people in China were voting for Yao Ming. Mm-hmm. And we need people in Mexico and all those people associated with Devin Booker to vote for DB. But, Book he's such a tremendous player. And, he'll be in Indianapolis, I think, one way or another. The coaches know it. He's been voted in, last year, I think it was last year or the year before, with the coaches knowing how good he is. And certainly missing 9 games, will that hurt him? I don't know. I don't think it will. But, fans have to get out and vote and support Devin Booker and support Kevin Durant. Just because we have that many good players on our team doesn't mean that you can't vote for 2 or 3 players. And, I'm hoping he makes it again. I mean, the kid is so good, and he only gets better. I mean, he's breaking every Phoenix Suns record. And he's what, 25, 26? I mean, he's just amazing, some of the things that he does. And, he's such a joy to watch. He really is. And he's another player that just, that shot goes up and it's like, how did that not go in? And because a lot of times he'll take not only high percentage shots, but he takes difficult shots. And we know how many game-winning shots he's taken and made. And, he's a special player.
He's as smooth as anyone in the NBA, in my opinion.
He's been voted the best jump shot, right?
It's beautiful. It is a thing of beauty. Yeah. Kind of two-pronged here. The fourth quarter issues, it's hard to wrap your mind around how bad it's been, even in games with the big 3. So last night, Frank Vogel was talking about, we don't have the traditional point guard, and I think that's part of it. There have been more turnovers in the fourth quarter, and he's like, Book and Beal, they've had time as a point guard, but it changes a little bit in the fourth quarter, especially when you have a lead and the pressure the opposing defense is bringing. So I guess the two-pronged part of this is, can you put a finger on the fourth quarter issues, and is it a long-term problem for the Suns that they're not going to play realistically with a point guard?
Well, Saban Lee's not bad.
Yeah.
And he's played some games, and he is a true point guard. He speeds things up. He's got great quickness, and we saw what he could do last year. And he's had a few opportunities with Frank early in the season. Maybe Frank will play him a little bit more. Who knows? And it's hard to take, quote, the big 3 out, and because if you put Saban Lee in, and again, Frank's still trying to find a rotation. The biggest thing is you want the hustle. You don't want guys, and if things get out of hand because the team is down, your opponent is down, it's not to say that Phoenix relaxes. Give credit to your opponent because they pick up the intensity. Because, word is that in the fourth quarter, the Suns, they get themselves in trouble. So let's help them. So they put a lot of pressure on you. They force Phoenix to take some bad shots. And sometimes, too, we know that the game is a game of runs. And sometimes in that fourth quarter, we get caught in those runs on the other end, where we get good shots and they're not falling. but we don't get an offensive rebound, or we don't get a second and third opportunity. And boom, the opponent is off and running against us. And, they feel that momentum. So, and that's tough. And Frank's getting the feel of what is happening. He knows what's happening, and he calls timeouts. Times out, get the team regrouped and so forth. And, you just hope that doesn't continue, especially through the rest of this month and after the All-Star break.
And Yusuf Nurkic.
They'll find their way.
Oh, yeah. Yusuf Nurkic, I feel like all eyes are on the big three, but he has been one of those guys that just is so consistent in the box score with doubles. How do you think he's really fit in with the Suns and just taking over for DA?
Well, just a different kind of player. And DA is a talented player. He's a talented kid. Again, still very young. When he came to us as the number one pick, he was 18 years old, and he'd never played center. So he was a 4 at University of Arizona. So it took him a couple years to really understand not only how to play the 5 position, but, physically he was getting beat up, and footwork and so forth. And, he's got talent. And I think Portland so far, and he's been hurt. So he's missed 11 games. And so he's going to have to get back in shape, and how he's going to help Portland out. And Portland is another team that's been struggling. Very talented players, young team. And but Nurk is just what this team needs. And he's physical. We know he can get rebounds, those offensive rebounds. Like Eddie said last night, he gets hit in the head so much. I don't know why he doesn't have one of those caps on or something to protect his head. But he can knock down the 3. He sets great picks. He's got a pick and roll. He's got a relationship with both DB and with Book and KD. And, the timing and so forth is so important. Defensively, is he the greatest physical defensive player? Not always, but, his size really makes a difference. And then you got Meta, who's coming off. And again, I think that's a lot of Frank finding, minutes for him, because he's very talented, can hit the outside shot. He's athletic as all get out, and his size and so forth. And Drew, you want Drew to, Drew gives you so much energy. And he's a physical player, and I think he just gives you a different dimension. He's fast, and I love the way he plays. And then we got some big guys that can help us down the stretch. And Frank has got to find minutes, or a lot of times guys don't get the minutes, and they've got to be ready.
All right, and so just to put a bow on this, my sense from you is, provided there is a certain amount of health the rest of the way, you feel like there is time. Suns are 8th place in the West right now, but it is not a concern for you that chemistry can and will be built as long as they get kind of the minutes together out on the court.
Oh, absolutely. And I think too, Frank has mentioned we don't quote have a true point guard, and people are making Book a point guard. And there's no question he has that ability, but there's something about having a Chris Paul or a Ricky Rubio that just understand how to set up guys. And the thing is, for me, because I see it on the WNBA side, with Diana Taurasi. Diana Taurasi is the greatest scorer in the WNBA history. And we won the championship in 2014 as a point guard, which is great. But I'm like, I don't want the ball in her hands, because I don't want her to be tired having to make decisions and giving the ball to somebody else to score. Somebody needs to give the ball to Diana Taurasi to score. And there's no question she's a great passer, but she doesn't have to be in the point guard position. Same thing with Book. I want Book to be getting the ball off screens with cuts to the basket. And I don't want him to have to go one-on-one all the time and work so hard to get a shot. And it would be nice to have somebody that would be able to, set that up. And Book's been doing that for Beal. He's been doing it for Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon and KD. And but somebody needs to do it for Book too.
Right on. Do we know which game you're next on the broadcast on AZ Family?
I can't wait. I'm on the long road trip. I've been back in California recovering from knee replacement. And so it's going good. And I'm on the long road trip starting in, where do we go? Dallas, Indiana, Orlando, Miami, Atlanta.
The knees are going to be
Brooklyn,
ready to go.
Washington, long cold flights.
Well, thank you so much for your input. It is always a blast just to hear your side of it and just get your viewpoint. It's very refreshing, and I can't wait to hear you on the broadcast as well.
Well, thanks so much. I'm so proud to be part of this organization, and it's Matt Ishbia is just taking us to a different place, and really excited about that.
All right, thanks, Ann. We'll see you on the court sometime after the road trip, then back here in
And
Phoenix.
by the way, if you guys don't know, when we are in Washington, K-Ray turning the big 6-0.
Ooh.
All right, we did not know. Good to know.
He won't like that I said that.
All right, thanks, Ann. Appreciate you making
Thanks,
the time.
guys.
We'll see you soon.
You got it. Take care.
Thank you.
This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.